what are the three important elements of product backlog refinement? And for me, the most important aspect of refinement is to talk about where we are, where we want to go, and get a clear understanding. And that always kind of the insights, what we discover, essentially, that is reflected in the product backlog. So, and this goes also back to this complexity thinking, because we as a collective, as the whole Scrum team, we want to pull into the same direction. That's only possible if we all have the same mental model, the same understanding about what is really going on, what needs to be done. So the conversational part of product backlog refinement is very important. And that's where you as a product owner play an important role, because you talk about what is important, what do we need, for whom do we need it, and you answer all of those questions. And this is how developers get a clear understanding. And while basically then the product backlog goes maybe through various stages. So at the beginning, we might have a couple of high level course items in there. We need this, we need this, we need this. Okay, which one do we first? Okay, this one here. So let's start to break this further down. That's also where the term refinement is actually coming from. And through this breaking down, you then get a better understanding. So breaking down makes it clear kind of what is really involved, what needs to be done, what do we have to cover, make sure we cover this correctly, figure out the dependencies, drive out the acceptance criteria, maybe even elements of the definition of done we have to consider for various product backlog items. And now the refinement is something which is ongoing. So while you're in the current sprint working on the existing sprint goal, you look a little bit further. What could we be doing in the next sprint after that? What would be a good sprint goal? So often that's kind of also anchored to the next possible sprint goal you might be doing. And then you start to break it down, talk about this, and do the activities I just had mentioned. So the refinement is not something you do once in a while. The refinement you shouldn't be doing just before the sprint planning, because if some questions can't be answered, you're already in the sprint planning afterwards, and then you usually have created yourself a problem. What I personally like to do is to have per sprint week one refinement of about 2 hours. So where you bring all the whole Scrum team together, maybe even go ahead and invite stakeholders so that they can explain why something is important for them, and they can answer all of those questions. And then there's maybe also refinement a little bit on the side when two developers just look at specific product backlog items here and there and get a clear understanding. So I think all the work we do to increase our understanding about the upcoming work in the next sprint, maybe the sprint after, I would put into the bucket of refinement. And that's quite some work. So I think about 10% per sprint, that's probably what you should be investing into your refinement.